Welcome to this lesson. So in the last lesson we looked at how to use percentages and pixels and auto and a lot of other things to mention the width of your columns. So as I told you, there's also another way, a new way of mentioning your widths, that's called fractions. Fractions is a new way of mentioning widths in your column. Let me show you an example so that you understand it better. Let's create 3 columns and let's say I want all of these columns to have the same width. So what I'll do is I'll use the fractions for that. So 1 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction. What this means is all of your columns are going to have the same width of 1 fraction. Okay, so what's going to happen? See? Perfectly divided. But I can actually play around with these fraction values and give them different values. For example, let's say 1 fraction, 2 fraction, and 1 fraction. What this means is these two have 1 unit, 1 fraction, and the middle column is going to be twice the size of this. Okay, so that's how it's going to be arbitrarily distributed. So you don't have to actually give the pixel size, you don't have to actually calculate the pixels or anything, you don't have to calculate the percentages or any of those things. All you have to do is give relative values like this, so that the middle column has to be twice the size of the first and the last column. Perfect. Do you see that? So that's how you can use fractions to give relative values. But right now we only have 3 columns here, so it's easy to just list them out and list all of the widths and so on. But what if we have 10 columns or 20 columns? So are you just going to be giving 1FR 10 times? Are you going to do this? You can't just keep listing all of the width out because that's going to take up a lot of time and a lot of space. So there's a shortcut called the repeat function. By using the repeat function, if the width of all the columns are equal, you can use the repeat function to save time. For example, if I, instead of just giving 1FR, 1FR, and 1FR, I can just say repeat 3, which indicates that there's 3 columns in our grid, and each of them is going to have 1FR in width. Okay, so when I see this, it's going to have the same output. So I can use the repeat function and I can actually give it 6 as well, like this. Perfect. See, without having to type it all the time, I just used it once. I could probably make this 10 as well. See? Great. There's extra space, but that doesn't matter right now. So that's how you can use the repeat function to save a lot of time. Also, it doesn't actually have to be the same width. You can actually give different widths as well. For example, let's say the first 2 columns are going to have the same width of 1FR and the second column is going to have 2FR. So use the repeat function for the first column and after that leave a space in here and then give 2FR for the third column. So this time we're going to get this 1, 2, 3. Alright? And you can also use the repeat function multiple times. So let's say I wanted to have 6 columns. So first and second ones are going to have 1FR, 1FR. The third column is going to have 2FR. And let's say the last 3 columns are going to have 3FR in width. So that's how you can use your repeat function. So 1FR, 1FR, 2FR, all of these are 3FR. So relative assignment of widths. So the grid template columns property that we used in here can be used to define how many columns we are going to have in our grid and how wide each of those columns are going to be. Then automatically the elements get placed into each of those columns in the order that they were created in. So the order is 1 to 6 and in that same order they were placed. So that's how you can use your grid template property to give a basic alignment for your elements. So it creates rows according to the columns you mentioned and according to the number of grid items you have as well. So far it has only been one dimensional. We just looked at the columns. So when we bring rows into it, we'll make the website 2-dimensional. So let's look at that in the next few lessons. I'll see you there. Thank you.